WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar and 1 p.m. in Port Novo. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink. First, the headlines. Senegal's Democratic Party PDS supports presidential election postponement to December 15, citing readiness for electoral scrutiny and dialogue.
It will be essential to organize the presidential election with an impartial judge above all to ensure the regularity and transparency of the election with integrity and efficiency.
ECOWAS faces criticism for inaction on Senegal's political crisis as concerns mount over business-as-usual approach.
This period for ECOWAS is like a midlife crisis. When you are being threatened that everything in your life can go wrong or has gone wrong or is going wrong and there's nothing you can do about it.
And Guinea marks significant progress in Corruption Perceptions Index 2023, according to Transparency International. Details of these stories are more coming up shortly.
Here is Abdullahi Hassan with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and a warm welcome to our listeners in the Gambia, Ghana, and Liberia. We opened the midday edition of Newslink right here in Senegal as the Senegalese Democratic Party PDS expresses approval for the postponement of the presidential election to December 15, 2024. The PDS welcomes the enactment of the law it proposed to annul the election initially scheduled for February 25. Recall that over 100 lawmakers from the ruling coalition Beno Bokyakar and those of the PDS belonging to Karim Wade, son of former President Abdoulaye Wade, had voted on Monday for the adoption of a bill to postpone the election. Speaking at a press conference Tuesday evening, deputies from the party elaborated on the establishment of a commission to scrutinize the electoral process. As Ogeberika reports, the PDS has also indicated its readiness to participate in the dialogue announced by President Macky Sall.
PDS disputes the feasibility of holding the presidential election on February 25, citing perceived anomalies in the electoral process. The Senegalese Democratic Party, particularly the PDS parliamentary group, highlights issues such as the rejection of Karim Wade's candidacy due to dual nationality, unclear electoral files, and lax control of sponsorships. They also criticized the inconsistent application of candidate eligibility criteria. In response to these concerns, Abdoulaye Wade's party advocates for a dialogue among the country's political forces to reach a consensus on electoral process reforms. Mamadou Lamine Cham, chairman of the PDS parliamentary group, expresses the party's stance.
It will be essential to organize the presidential election with an impartial judge above all to ensure the regularity and transparency of the election. We propose to set up a constitutional court in charge of supervising the electoral questions with integrity and efficiency. Such institutions would be the guarantors of fair scrutiny, faithfully reflecting the will of the Senegalese people. The PDS is committed to playing an active role in this dialogue necessary for the modernization and improvement of our electoral system.
President Macky Sall pledged to initiate an open national dialogue on February 3 to ensure conditions for a free, transparent and inclusive election. However, no specific date has been announced for this dialogue.
Ogeberika will now report. Meanwhile, ECOWAS's perceived business-as-usual approach to handling sensitive issues remains a concern. This perception is shared among citizens and civil society organizations in the sub-region with an interest in regional integration and development. Senegal's unfolding political crisis, according to the West African Civil Society Forum WASCOF, is of grave concern, bodies receiving little attention from the bloc in the face of increasing threats. The umbrella organization for CSOs in the region cited the withdrawal of Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger from ECOWAS as one of many indicators for the regional powerhouse to wake up to its new reality. Kopeb Dabugard, Secretary General of WASCOF, describes ECOWAS's current state.
I think in my own sense of analysis, I would say this period for ECOWAS is like a midlife crisis. when you are being threatened that everything in your life can go wrong or has gone wrong or is going wrong and there's nothing you can do about it. I think ECOWAS is in such a situation, given that 3 of your members are leaving and also observing the widespread signs of undemocratic tendencies across the region. These signs show that ECOWAS needs to have a serious internal conversation about, first of all, how it carries out its activities, how it transforms, how it will transform itself to be able to respond to the widespread needs of the citizens. Because I have seen the statement of ECOWAS and many in response to the development in Senegal. And many people say that the statement is very watered, it's very watery. So ECOWAS needs to be able to bite. Yes, it was founded by the heads of states, but we need to now begin to genuinely open up windows, develop a framework that will ensure the citizens are able to have their say in the design of ECOWAS's programs, policies, actions.
That was Kokpep Dabugad, Secretary General of WASCOF. More on reactions concerning Senegal's political crisis. The West Africa Democracy Solidarity Network, WADR, for its part, says it stands with the civil society community in Senegal in the opposition to the decision to postpone the country's presidential election originally scheduled for February 25, 2024. WADR, which is a network of over 45 pro-democracy national and transnational civil society organizations working in the West Africa sub-region, contends that unilateral action of President Macky Sall has thrust Senegal into a needless political and constitutional crisis. The transnational CSO platform believes such represents a disappointing setback for Senegal, a blot on the image of the country that has made steady and exemplary progress in building a stable democratic society underpinned by respect for the rule of law and an unbroken tradition of regular, free, fair, and inclusive elections. The Guinean government has recorded a substantial improvement in its Corruption Perceptions Index (CPI) for the year 2023. The country's latest achievement is contained in a report by the NGO Transparency International published at the end of January 2024. The report reveals significant progress for Guinea led by General Mamadou Doumbouya, who came to power on September 5, 2021 following a coup against former President Alpha Condé. Augustine Colley tells us more.
According to the 2023 ranking by Transparency International, Guinea obtained a score of 26 over 100, placing it 141 out of the 180 countries evaluated. This rise of 1 point and several places compared with the previous ranking demonstrates the efforts made by the Guinean government to combat corruption. The creation of a special court to try economic crimes is one of the key measures in this fight. This court's mission is to bring to justice former dignitaries of previous regimes accused of embezzlement of public funds and illicit enrichment. In 2022, Guinea ranked 147 out of 180 countries evaluated worldwide by Transparency International with a score of 25 points, a ranking that had not changed since 2021. However, this latest improvement in Transparency International's ranking bears witness to the Guinean government's sustained efforts to eradicate corruption and promote transparency in the management of public affairs. Recall January 25, Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya was granted the rank of General. Doumbouya, for the three, assumed control of Guinea following the ousting of the country's first democratically elected president, Alpha Condé, in September 2021.
Augustine Colley reports in there.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
As a reminder, we're live on WADR.org and on Facebook, WADR English Service. Members of Ghana's parliament will henceforth have their roll call taken by the Speaker, Alban Bangbin, each morning before sitting commences. This is according to the new standing orders approved by the House last year. The MPs are also required to recite the national pledge at the beginning of every sitting week. WADR's Accra correspondent Nadiri Tete reports.
Speaker of Ghana's Parliament commenced the implementation of the new standing orders on Tuesday when the House reconvened. Some members of Parliament, however, had questions for the Speaker about the optical implications of having to be marked absent in the plenary even when present at committee meetings. Wa West MP Peter Lanchenetobu, for instance, asked how.
At what point can we assist the public to appreciate the fact that even though Peter is not on his seat, he's present in Parliament. He's not absent. Because within a twinkle of an eye, within 10 minutes, in my constituency, there will be held that Peter is absent in Parliament. But in actual fact, Parliament knows that I am present.
Other MPs, including Asawasi MP Muntaka Mubarak, however, hailed the initiative, arguing it could ensure punctuality.
I'm happy that at least the new standing orders kick-start today. Mr. Speaker, I want to encourage that as much as possible we adhere to its test now that it's a new beginning.
Reacting to the concerns, the Speaker of Parliament explained the roll call is to ensure speakers presiding are better informed about quorum requirements.
The optics that you refer to are very important, and that I believe is clear to all of you that your constituents are watching.
He, however, indicated an electronic clocking system will subsequently be introduced to replace the manual roll call. MP for Dom Kwabenya Sarah Joasafo, on her part, questioned the part of the national pledge which references our forefathers, indicating its gender biased, as she called for the inclusion of foremothers to cater for women.
When it comes to the pledge, and we're referring to the toil, and we're referring to the fight, the struggle, we omit that of our mothers. And we have to, again, as a country, so that we become more gender sensitive when it comes to our national.
Some of the new changes in the new standing orders are the creation of an economic planning committee from the Finance Committee. Parliament, through the new standing orders, has also been empowered to summon heads of institutions and agencies without having to go through sector ministers as had existed under the old regime. For WADR, Nadiri Tete, Accra.
Let's now take you to Liberia, where the outgoing Chief of Army Staff, Prince Charles Johnson, has underscored the need to depoliticize the nation's army. The army chief was recently retired by President Joseph Boakai and nominated as Defense Minister pending confirmation by the Liberian Senate. WADR's Moreover correspondent Darlington Popper has won the following report.
Retired General Prince Charles Johnson believes if the armed forces of Liberia will be respected and recognized internationally, there is a need to depoliticize the army. He was speaking when he officially turned over the mantle of authority to the new Chief of Army Staff.
And I believe after 18 years, it is time for us to transition to allow the younger one to also steer the affairs of our military. You see the dock? When you see it sailing on the water, you're like, wow, the dog is just moving, no fighting, nothing, is just moving. That was me. But if you put a camera on that water and see the feet of the dog and see how it struggles, that is the personnel of the airfare, the staff, the kind of support that you provided for me. That today, again, we've been nominated to occupy another job.
Responding, the newly appointed Chief of Army Staff, Davidson Fuller, vowed to ensure the army remain neutral while ensuring the full protection of Liberia's territory.
For me today, it has not been rosy or rosy. It has been rough, it has been tough, it has not been just smooth. But the decision that I took along this line landed me somewhere in Addis Ababa at one point in time. In Addis Ababa, we served with distinction, and Liberia today can be remembered having the first defense attaché at that mission.
For now, the army is the only military institution highly respected by all Liberians due to its independent role during the political activities in Liberia. For Newslink on West Africa Democrats Radio, I'm Darlington Popper in Monrovia.
And just before the break, let's take you to the Gambia for some good news because the country is being considered a potential for a research facility for vaccine production to serve the sub-region. The Secretary General of the Organization of Southern Cooperation, Sheikh Mansour Bin, made the comments after a closed-door meeting with President Adama Barrow on Tuesday at the State House in Banjul. He applauded the Gambian leader's role in peace building while explaining the mechanisms put in place for debt relief for the country.
During this meeting, we had an extensive and wide-ranging discussion on a number of areas. that pertain to the mandate of the Organization of Southern Cooperation. A mandate that is centered around education, research, technology development, and fresh finance and debt relief for our countries of the South. And of course, this visit of mine to the Gambia, which is culminating with the privilege and honor of meeting with His Excellency the President, is one that was intended to first and foremost acknowledge the extraordinary visionary quality of the President and the government of the Gambia in seeking and being admitted as the latest member state, the newest member state of the Organization of Southern Cooperation. And therefore, with the President, we had the opportunity of discussing a number of very concrete areas of cooperation with the Gambia in terms of reinforcing educational capacities, in terms of potentially establishing a transdisciplinary research center here in the Gambia of a regional nature in order to have the capacity to develop our own vaccines and solutions to our our problems in the region and address these problems in order to achieve development.
That was Sheikh Mansour bin, Secretary General of the Southern Corporation. You are listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM, Dakar, Senegal. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Senegal's Democratic Party, PDS, supports presidential election postponement to December 15, citing readiness for electoral scrutiny and dialogue. ECOWAS faces criticism for inaction on Senegal's political crisis as concerns mount over business-as-usual approach. Guinea marks significant progress in corruption perceptions index 2023, according to Transparency International. Ahead in the news is the guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Many thanks for staying with us. The International Conference on the Role of Central Banks in Climate Change Adaptation Policies opened on Tuesday here in Dakar. Focusing on climate change as a major issue for financial stability, the conference revolves around the theme, the role of central banks in addressing the challenges posed by climate change. The event brings together central bank governors and ministers overseeing the economy and environment, along with experts from regional institutions. Imo Edet has more.
In his address, the Senegalese Prime Minister underscored the importance of implementing policies to address climate change. Amadouba extended an invitation to financial institutions, urging them to prioritize investment in environmentally friendly initiatives.
The African states, on behalf of their peers worldwide, have taken several commitments to their action plan aimed at reducing emissions and adapting to the effects of climate change. This conference should allow us to share our experiences to seek innovative solutions in terms of reducing emissions and fair energy transition. I expect financial institutions of this union to take concrete action to identify the goal of your reflections to promote investments in environmental-friendly projects.
This call found a receptive audience in the governor of the Central Bank of West African State, Jean-Claude Cassibrou, who expressed awareness of the climate risk confronting the sub-region.
Climate risks are environmental concerns, but their effects can compromise the resilience of our financial system as a whole. This is why these risks are the subject of increased attention from central banks. They have the responsibility to understand, assess, and mitigate these risks. This conference is a platform that offers us the opportunity to address the challenges of climate change and its financial implications on the economic development of our region and our continent.
The international conference saw the participation of central banks from countries such as Ghana, Zambia, Comoros, Mauritania, and Guinea, among others. The insights gleaned from the diverse panels are expected to play a pivotal role in identifying priority areas for climate policies among African central banks.
Imo Edet with that report.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest is Amadou Camara, a Senegalese political analyst who will analyze today the position of the Senegalese Democratic Party, PDS, which again on Tuesday expressed its support for the election postponement.
I think the Senegalese Democratic Party just would like to explain to the people and to the whole world that the bill they vote is just to reintegrate their candidate, Karim Wade. But people know that there is something behind that. What is behind that is that they have found an agreement with President Macky Sall in order to stay in power until December 15, and it is an agreement, an underground agreement, which is something political and different to judicial consideration, and that's what we can learn from their statement.
Now, aside the PDS party, a few other CSOs, for instance, Justice Forum of Babakar Ba, have also expressed their support for the postponement of the elections until December 15. How deep is this cut to the political landscape?
Yes, I think it is clear if we watch the TV and different channels, international TV, I think there is only one word: the postponement of the election is illegal, is illegitimate. Yes, even those who are the collaborators, the close collaborators of Macky Sall, disagree with him. We have the General Secretary Latif Coulibaly, who dismissed, and also another minister, the former health minister, who also dismissed. So I think Babakar Ba, yes, he has a right to defend everything he wants, but his argument should base on the Constitution. And today, if we listen or if you watch TV, most of the experts in law or in judicial affairs declare that the postponement of the election is something illegal. And today what we can see is that there is a great fraction between the different political parties and different people in Senegal, and that what we fear, because politics should not really divide people, but the postponement has exacerbated tension between communities, between people, between families, and I think it's not good.
Talk about tension. What is your reaction to ECOWAS's statement calling on the government to respect the Constitution? Is that statement a bit ambiguous?
I cannot understand them because they have already released a first statement, and after 2 days after they released another statement, and I think the last one is tougher, and it urged the president to respect the electoral calendar, and many people are applauding, but I cannot understand them. ECOWAS should have one word, and a clear message to the president Macky Sall to respect the electoral calendar, which was the initial calendar, meaning February 25.
April 2nd, many people right now are a bit quiet, but many others again have said clearly that they will cease to refer to President Macky Sall as the head of state of Senegal beyond April 2nd. How significant is this declaration?
Yes, but I don't know if people will wait until April 2nd. We don't know yet because there are some members of the opposition who had already challenged the decision of Macky Sall and the parliament. They want to challenge the decision in the Constitutional Council. Maybe in 2 or 3 days, we will have another verdict from the Constitutional Council. We don't know.
So, Amadou Camara, this will be my last question to you. How optimistic are you that the Constitutional Council will speak to this issue when, for many Senegalese who had hoped for this same body to intervene from the very start regarding the electoral process, did not speak? Because analysts like yourself have said that only the Constitutional Council has the power to announce whether or not elections should be postponed.
We don't know what will happen, but we are very optimistic about the Constitutional Council, thinking that they will tell the law in that fact. Let's wait until maybe Friday or next Monday.
Amadou Camara is a Senegalese political analyst. And in the world of sports, the semi-finals of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON comes alive today, Wednesday, February 7, with the tournament's host among the final four. Nigeria, South Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, and the Democratic Republic of Congo are set to vie for the African title. At 5 p.m., the Super Eagles of Nigeria will face Bafana Bafana of South Africa in the first match at the Peace Stadium in Bouake. Nigeria has won the AFCON title 3 times in history, and it has been over 10 years since Super Eagles last secured it. Take a listen to the Nigerian coach Jose Puzero at the pre-match conference.
Our team is doing a good job until now. We reached semi-finals. We show until now good spirit, we show until now good organization. We show until now good demand, commitment, sacrifice. We play like a team together. We have a tough match against a good national team. And we want to beat South Africa for reach the final because it's our goal. And for that, we must play an high-level match. We know the capacity and the power of the opponent. When opponent put Marocos out, Marocos did a fantastic World Cup.
Nigerian coach there, Jose Pizarro. Now, for its part, South Africa in 1996 secured the AFCON title. Meanwhile, the Elephants of Cote d'Ivoire will clash with the Leopards of DRC at the Alassane Ouattara Stadium in Abidjan at 8 p.m. later this evening. And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and David Vincent for the technical support. Do interact with us via social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and on Facebook, WADR English Service, stream live on WADR.org. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is a rebroadcast of WADR's gender program in English 50-50 with Na Deditete. This will be followed immediately after by the second edition of our comprehensive news package in French, Info Chez Vous. I am Abdullahi Hassan. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0, and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County. For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions. Listen to WADR's programs
every day,
all the time, in Mali, Niger, the Gambia, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Conakry,
Benin.
You can also follow our programs in Ghana, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, Togo, and across Senegal. Don't miss our daily news bulletins, Newslink, educative and informative programs, and lots more. West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM. It's you speaking.
Let's go. This is your radio.
Broadcasting live from the Senegalese capital of Dakar. 24 hours, 7 days a week, all year round. On 94.9 FM, this is West Africa Democracy Radio Dakar. We got you covered. We got you covered on all fronts. News, programs, special shows, and lots of all new music. From Dakar to Benin, from Nigeria to Ghana, Conakry, Bissau, Niger, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Mali, Mauritania, Ouagadougou, Cape Verde to the Gambia. This is your radio. This is your voice. Your voice.
This is West Africa Democracy Radio, and we are on
WADR. You can listen to us on 94.9 FM in Dakar through our website www.wadr.org.
This is West Africa Democracy Radio, 94.9 FM Dakar.
The program you're about to listen to is a repeat broadcast.